Did you ever thank God that you're not like those guys? We're going to think about that today on Now What Devotions from Trinity Lutheran and Cyrus. It's harvest day over by our place, and corn is coming in, and it's a good morning for a walk. We're thinking about the book of Luke, chapter 18, the second half this week. It's, I think it's like 9 through 18 or something like that. It says Jesus tells a parable, and then you should always note this with parables. There's a key that is handed to you, like why he tells the parable. That really matters. Like, it's the context. You got to keep it in mind. So it says Jesus told a parable to some people who were with him at the time, who were very sure that they were in the right, who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and others were not. That's interesting. I have been that person. Have you ever been that person? Oh yeah. We like to be that person because, well, a variety of things. You know, in my research lately, I am reading about, well, a lot of things, but there's a couple of things about the created world that we need to keep in mind as Christians, right? First off, the world is not God. God made the world. And one of the things about the world that we sort of take for granted is that it's intelligible. Another way to say that is we can make sense of it. That didn't need to be the case. The world could have been utterly confusing and random. Things could have been unpredictable. Things could change all the time. Now, things do change all the time, but like physics could change. Gravity, like all of those things, they're predictable and we can make sense of them. I can say at a certain time of year, it's going to be harvest time. I can set up some stones to measure the shadows just in my yard. I can make a mini Stonehenge and predict very accurately when that's going to happen. I can see when the stars are going to come up and go down. Like, there are cycles and processes that are repetitive and we can make sense of them. It's intelligible. It is, our brains are capable of, at least for a large majority of what's going on in the world, of making sense of it. And that is quite amazing. But here's the thing, that's not the same as being morally predictable or ethically predictable or emotionally predictable. We sometimes conflate those things, right? Jesus says to these folks who think they have it all figured out that life and social interactions are like physical and natural interactions and that they are predictable and knowable. And these people say, we've got it figured out and we are righteous. And Jesus says, whoa, hold on. And he goes on to tell a story about one guy who prays and says to God, I am doing all the right things. Therefore, I thank you, God, that I'm not like the unrighteous. And the other man who comes in and prays is an active sinner. Although maybe the first guy is too, and he clearly doesn't realize it. But the other man comes in as a tax collector, and we don't know if he's a good or a bad or anything. We just know that he's a tax collector, and he goes, God, I am a sinner. And that makes all the difference. You know, one thing I have learned in 22 years of ministering, 23 now, I guess, to people, you never know what is going on in a person's heart and in their world. You can know some of it, what they share with you. You can know some of it, what you see. But a lot of times what you see is not what's going on, or it's such a small piece. You don't know how things echo and reverberate. You don't know previous parts of their life. One last thing we're thinking about here. Because the world is predictable, at least in one sense, because we can understand things and make sense of them and then make predictions and laws and rules and ideas mathematically and scientifically and other ways that let us feel a certain sense of control and mastery of the world. When we extend that to people, we run into some issues. And one of the last things that we do, I think that is really, Jesus consistently contradicts. We stop having curiosity. We think we know answers, and therefore, and it plays out this way. I have made my way through the world. And when I had problems, I solved them this way. And that worked for me. Therefore, if you would just do what I did, it would work for you. Why don't you be like me? And there is a fundamental flaw in that thinking, right? Because it's not curious. It does not consider the world as another has experienced it. Their emotion, their narrative, their pains, their losses, their gains, their blessings, their curses. It does none of that. It takes what you have experienced out of context and puts it onto the other. Gosh, that is dangerous. It just rarely works. And further, it leads us to judge others by our standards, not by God's standards, not by Jesus' standards. Jesus has a very different way of judging people and makes that really clear, and then cautions us over and over. Don't judge. You don't know. I know. And Jesus judges from a context of love, otherworldly love that is bigger than ours and sees beyond our limited perspectives. That's your thought for today. Have you made that mistake? I make this mistake all the time. I make a quick judgment based on my expectations of how the world responds to me and my context in this time with this body and this voice and this set of experiences. And then I expect other things should go that way too, but it never works that way. Humility can be described as not expecting others' lives to line up with your life and allowing God to be the judge. And this is the humility that we're thinking about today. Hope it's a good week for you as the season changes. I'm Pastor Chris, signing off for now.